بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وآله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وعملا وفقها في الدين يا رب العالمين. وفقنا للعمل بما يرضيك عنا وإلى غيرك لا تكلنا. افتح أقفال قلوبنا بذكرك وألهمنا شكرك واجعلنا من أهل معرفتك ولا تجعلنا من الغافلين. آمين. In this Tarbiyya session we have started since a long time, reading some selections actually from Imam al-Muhasibi's book Adab al-Nufus. Al-Harith al-Muhasibi rahimahullah, in this very book, he has different topics. He talks about the etiquettes of how you deal with your nafs, how to control it, how to improve it, how to purify it, how to deal with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's all about, as it says in the title, Adab and Nufus. So collections of adab from his experience, rahimahullah. And he's, mashallah, a master in this field. So I'll be reading some of his collection, inshaAllah ta'ala. In this session, Imam al-Muhasibi talks about how to rectify what's between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أصلح ما بينك وبين الله تعالى. So he started this session by saying, it's been narrated that one of the wise men, he wrote a letter to his brother. And in that letter he wrote a piece of advice. And he started the letter, أوصيك يا أخي بإصلاح ما بينك وبين الله. I advise you, my brother, to fix what's between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وإيثار محبته على هواك. And put forward what Allah loves against what you love. والإقبال على عمل من إليه معاملتك وقبله حاجتك. Then do something which you deal with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you need Him the most. So in this introduction, he's saying in his letter, and more likely, as I told you many times, Imam al-Muhasibi rahimahullah, he always uses this term, بعض الحكماء, a wise man, some wise people, these kind of expressions, and he means himself. He doesn't want to say, I have written a letter to my brother who asked me to give him a piece of advice or to give him nasiha. So he's saying بعض الحكماء, some wise man has written a letter and the rest of it. So number one, he said, straightforward. He is not, as we say in English, beating around the bushes. He's not. He's just straight to the point. He said, my advice to you is to fix what's between you and Allah Azza wa Jalla. And number two, he's saying, in order to do this, and he is always talking about practical things, not just theoretical things. In order to do this, you have to do ithar. The concept of ithar, Allah has mentioned in the Quran subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَيُؤْثِرُونَ عَلَى أَنفُسِهِمْ. So he mentioned subhanahu wa ta'ala the description of the companions in Surah Al-Hashr, Surah number 59, verse number 9. والذين تبوأوا الدار والإيمان من قبلهم يحبون من هاجر إليهم. So he's describing the Ansar, that they love those who migrated to them. So they hosted them, they were generous with them. يبتغون فضلا من الله ورضوانا. So يحبون من هاجر إليهم ولا يجدون في صدورهم حاجة مما أوتوا ويؤثرون على أنفسهم ولو كان بهم خصاصة ومن يوق شح نفسه فأولئك هم المفلحون. In this ayah, Allah has mentioned the verb إيثار, آثر يؤثر. So here it's being used in the plural form, يؤثرون. It means they give priority over themselves to their guests, even if they themselves are needy. And this is the concept of ithar. So they give priority to their guests, and this is atharahu ala nafsih. So he is giving him preference over himself. This is ithar. So for instance, they have very limited amount of food. If they were to eat, their guest will be with no food. So they will give it to the guest without letting the guest know that they have no food enough for them to eat. And they will pretend, because it was dark at that time, in the evening, they hosted some companions and they offered them food, and because it was dark, they didn't put enough light for the guests to see if they are eating or not. So they pretended that they were eating with him. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed this ayah to praise this action, which is selfless action, that they are not selfish, they are selfless, which is, subhanAllah, against what we can see today, especially this piracy which came back again in the sea, in the air, that they are pirating some ships, some delivery from China to Italy. They have just redirected the ships, or redirected delivery to take it to America. It's, or somewhere else, as we've seen in the news. It's completely the opposite of the concept of ithar, giving preference for people over yourself. I know some of you might say, yes, but this is a matter of life and death. It's not about food. It's not about being generous. It's about saving lives. Even though you can't do that. It's just showing how barbaric we are. And we started seeing all these kind of actions in Italy, that some people are burning the European Union flag and saying that they have just let us down, they have betrayed us, they deceived us, we received nothing from them. We were left alone, so we don't want to be in this union anymore. So it brings, this concept brings it back home, to be honest. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about ithar, that the companions, the Ansar, they were so generous and giving preference to their guests over themselves. So Imam al-Muhasib rahimahullah is saying here, أصلح ما بينك وبين الله وآثر محبته على هواك. So give preference to what Allah loves, over what you love. So give ithar to what Allah loves over of what you love. This is ithar. So you are not giving preference to what you love over what He loves, subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is the best kind of ithar. Although Allah needs no one, subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is why he finished his sentence by saying, rahimahullah, وَالْإِقْبَالَ عَلَى عَمَلٍ. So you should be doing something and embracing the action which makes you closer to Him, because you need Him the most. He doesn't need you. وَإِلَيْكَ. So you need Him. وَقِبَلِهِ حَاجَتُكَ. So your need is to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He doesn't need us. يَا أَيُّهَا النَّاسُ أَنْتُمُ الْفُقَرَاءُ إِلَى اللَّهِ. O mankind, you are in need of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And He is free from all wants. He needs no one. We need Him. So Al-Muhasib rahimahullah is saying, get engaged in an action which pleases Allah Azza wa Jal. And the word which he used again, he's mashallah rahimahullah ta'ala master in choosing the right expressions, the deep expressions to express something which is very comprehensive, as he used the term ithar, and you see where it took us. And here he's using the word iqbal. Iqbal, again, it's another term which we can see the depth of this term. Aqbala, it means to come forward. So iqbal, it means you do something not just for the sake of doing it, you do it full-heartedly. You don't do it half-heartedly, you don't do it just a lip service, no. So it means you do it with all your limbs, mind, heart together. And this is what iqbal is about. And it's a very common name as well. You have Alama Iqbal, and you have, this is what the meaning of Iqbal. Iqbal, it's about coming closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with full-hearted. So, وَالْإِقْبَالَ عَلَى عَمَلٍ. So you come forward, you do something to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but do it from your heart, not just with your limbs. So the action, if you want, is mainly of two kinds. One which you do just to tick the box with your limbs. So for instance, salah, dhikr, siyam, what have you. So the siyam from fajr till maghrib, tick the box. You are not eating, you are not drinking, tick the box. There's no intimate relationship, tick the box. And this is the tick the box exercise. Dhuhr 4 rak'ahs, tick the box. You've done your wudu properly, tick the box. And so on. Yes, but where is your heart in all of this? There's a special box for the heart, which you never ticked when you were focusing and concentrating on the outward actions, on the verbal or the literal meaning of the action. So Iqbal is about not only tick the box exercise, the left box exercise, which is about the physical stuff and outward stuff. No, there's another box which you haven't seen on the right side. Yes, the right corner, which you haven't seen. Usually you look at the left corner. So right corner is not the first thing you look at. So it's on the right side. It's your heart. Although the heart is on the left. But anyway, the heart surgeons can excuse us. So it's about coming closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and doing things, and you know that you have directed yourself, your heart, your face, your limbs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this, if you want, takes us to the opening supplication in our salah. What is the opening supplication in our salah? There are different narrations, authentic narrations. Before you start Fatiha in your salah, there's something before that, which we call dua al-istiftah, the opening supplication. For those who attended the course salah, we have spoken about this a bit. So the opening supplication, it's about mainly two versions of dua. Version number one, which is سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك وتبارك اسمك وتعالى جدك ولا إله غيرك. And this version has been used by the Hanafi school and the like of it. They use as the opening supplication before Fatiha. And the other narration, authentic narration, وجهت وجهي للذي فطر السماوات والأرض حنيفا مسلما وما أنا من المشركين إن صلاتي ونسكي ومحياي ومماتي لله رب العالمين وبذلك أمرت وأنا من المسلمين. So I have directed my face to the one who created the heavens and the earth. حنيفا مسلما, purely, with no association, with no shirk. إن صلاتي ونسكي, my prayer, my rituals, my actions, my life, my death, لله رب العالمين, all dedicated to Allah, the Lord of the universe, subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is iqbal. This is iqbal ala Allah. So you are straight from the very beginning of your salah, you are doing iqbal ala Allah. So you are putting all yourself together. Because we've been scattered into too many pieces, especially these days. So you are collecting your pieces, putting your pieces together. Your mind, your heart, your faculties, putting them together. And directing them towards the Creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inna salati wa nusuki wa mahyaya wa mamati. So my salah, all my actions, my rituals, my life and my death, all belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is the reality. And this is the essence of iqbal. So you know that everything we are doing, or planning, or preparing, or we are engaged in, if it has no iqbal in it, no closeness to Allah, no pure intention to Allah, this is what he's going to talk about here, then it's not the right thing. It's not the right action which we are after. And he's saying, rahimahullah, Because you need Allah and He doesn't need you. So this is the quality of the action which you need to do. And you hope that it will be accepted. Inshallah, it will. But we need to put the efforts to make it an action of heart and mind and body together. Not just one-sided action. It doesn't work. And then he said, وَاعْلَمْ أَنَّ أَيَّامَكَ قَلِيلَةٌ. He continues his advice to his brother. He says, you should know that your days are counted. Very few days we have in this dunya, especially now. Now it hits home. We see that people are just falling off sick, and some of them are dying, some of them are under severe circumstances, some of them in the ICU, some of them, may Allah give us shifa, inshallah, for all those who are ill. Allahumma shfi mardana. Allahumma shfi mardana. Allahumma shfi mardana. Allah give cure for those who are ill. So, وَاعْلَمْ أَنَّ أَيَّامَكَ قَلِيلَةٌ. The reality is, our days, and he used again another term, as you can see, he is just picking the right words, the right expression. Every single word you can see, it's just directing you towards Allah Azza wa Jal. أَنَّ أَيَّامَكَ قَلِيلَةٌ. So your life, he didn't say your life, he said your days are very little. Counted, you can count them. Even if you are in your 60s, 70s, 90s even, little, still very little. In comparison to the infinity. In the akhirah, nothing. It's very little. أَنَّ أَيَّامَكَ قَلِيلَةٌ. If this is the case, which is the case, okay, you can see where he's going with that. So because you have limited time and you have too many things to do, what are you going to do? It's the very same thing which we have now. We have little days. God knows when we will depart this dunya. We have little days in the dunya. Very limited time in the dunya. And the list of the tasks which we want to do is huge. Okay. Which one take preference? Which one will be the priority number one, and which one will be number two, and so on. So it's prioritization of your tasks. And this is exactly what we need to do now. How to prioritize a list of our tasks and actions. Which one takes preference over the other? وَاعْلَمْ أَنَّ أَيَّامَكَ قَلِيلَةٌ. So it is very limited, the days which we are spending in this life. Okay. So in other words, he's saying, because it's limited, don't waste it. Because it's limited, you won't take another opportunity. So don't regret. I wish I have done this. I wish I put this forward. I wish I've invested more time in this. I wish. You still have the time to do the right thing. Instead of just being overwhelmed by wishes and overtaken by hopes, you can translate your hopes to actions. You can direct yourself towards the right thing, because it's a fact. Our days are limited in the dunya. And this is what he's saying. I envy that brother whom he has written this letter to him. Probably, more likely, it's Al-Junaid. Or this conversation took place between him and Al-Junaid, as we've seen in the beginning of the book. or his biography, Imam al-Muhasibi, that he used to go with Junaid al-Baghdadi to the desert. And he would say to al-Junaid, ask me anything you want. And then al-Junaid, what shall I ask you? He'll say, ask me. Whatever comes into your mind, ask me. Then al-Junaid will start asking this and that question, and then he will respond. And then later, the Imam will collect these questions and answers and put it in a book, like what we've seen here. واعلم أن أيامك قليلة ونفسك واحدة. So you don't have too many souls. You have only one soul. That's it. You don't have reincarnation. You don't have you come back again. Done. That's it. Only once. So it means don't waste it. You got the opportunity, don't waste it. Use it in the best way. And then he said, فإن فنيت أيامك فلا رجعة لك فيها. When your days ends, you won't be able to come back, which is very true. So you have one shot and you have one target. So don't play around. Just hit the target. You will not be able to come back. And we've seen in many verses in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked about those who regret doing the wrong thing and they want to come back. قال رب ارجعون, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in Surah Al-Mu'minun. Surah Al-Mu'minun, Surah number 23, verse number 99. حتى إذا جاء أحدهم الموت قال رب ارجعون. Until when death comes to one of them, he says, my Lord, send me back. Let me go back. لعلي أعمل صالحا فيما تركت. That I may do right in what I have neglected. That's it. كلا. No. By no means he will be able to come back again. It's done. So what he's saying, rahimahullah, here, فَإِنْ فَنِيَتْ أَيَّامُكَ, when your days ends on the dunya, in the dunya, فَلَا رَجْعَةَ لَكَ فِيهَا, you cannot come back again. You are done. وَلَا عِوَضَ لَكَ مِنْهَا, and you won't have another chance to compensate this. So sometimes you miss an opportunity, but yeah, you wait for the second train to arrive, for instance. You missed your boat, you wait for the second boat. You missed your train, you wait for the second train. Or your plane, you wait for the second plane. But no, there's no second plane, no second train, no second boat. Done. That's it. You are stuck. You can't come back. You are done. وإن عطبت نفسك فلا نفس لك سواها. So he talks about two things, as you can see. So he said your days are limited and you have only one soul. So he talks about the days first. He finished from that and then came back to the second, your soul. فإذا وإن عطبت نفسك. So when your soul is taken away from you, that's it. فلا نفس لك سواها. You don't have a second soul to come back with it. Done. So your day's finished. You don't have another chance. Neither the days nor the soul. Allah will not give you another soul to come back. And some people in Jannah, as it's mentioned in the Quran and the Hadith as well, they will ask Allah to bring them back. Do you want anything? They will say to come back to the dunya and do the right thing. And of course, these souls are good souls. They have passed away in the battlefield, martyrs. They will ask Allah that we wish that we can come back and die again for your sake. And Allah will say to them, no, my promise that I will not bring back anyone who passed away. Otherwise, I would have fulfilled your wishes. So you won't be able to come back again. You won't be able to have a new chance. That's it. And then he posed a question here. وهل تدري يا أخي ما إصلاح ما بينك وبين الله? Do you know, my brother, what is the meaning of you fix what's between you and Allah? What does it mean? He will explain what does it mean. And this is a very nice way to put it. Do you know the reality of إصلاح ما بينك وبين Allah? What does it mean to have a good relationship between you and Allah? In which form? In which way? I told you earlier that he is into the practical things, not just theoretical things. He'll give the theory, but as well he will talk about the practical steps. And he is a master, rahimahullah, in that. Number one, ألا يأتيه منك شيء إلا كان فيه له رضا. So you won't send forward to Allah anything that does not please him. So he focused on the word rida, coming back to the word selection. So he selected the word rida. لا يأتيه منك شيء. So whatever we do, so from our end we are sending this. Yes? As in the Quran, and he receives it. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. From his end he receives. From our end we send. As in the ayah, إليه يصعد الكلم الطيب والعمل الصالح يرفع. In Surah Fatir, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Surah number 35, verse number 10, part of the ayah number 10, إليه يصعد الكلم الطيب. To him ascends the pure words. And the righteous deeds he elevates. So, al-kalim al-tayyib, the good words, and the righteous deeds. These are the two things which he receives, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what he's saying here, make sure, don't send forward to Allah Azza wa Jal things that he doesn't approve. He's displeased with it. Rida. So he used the word rida. So he is not pleased with it. And then ولا يأتيك منه شيء إلا كان لك به رضا. This is tougher than the first. The first one is tough, but this is tougher than the first. And you never receive anything from him, but you have to be pleased with it. Wow. So on one side, you don't send forward to Allah Azza wa Jal any deeds or any words that doesn't please him. From our side now, we are on the receiving end now. If he sends something to us, you have to be pleased with it, no matter what. Even if you find it difficult, tough, bitter, hard, as the calamity which we have now, the COVID-19, for instance. So he's saying, if you want this relationship to be fixed between you and Allah Azza wa Jal, this is the way forward. Whatever you receive from him, you have to have rida. Rida. You be satisfied, you be pleased with it. Even if it's bitter, tough. Doesn't mean you don't protect yourself, you don't use medicine in this scenario, you don't do research, you don't try to develop a vaccine because I'm satisfied, I have rida, I want to die. No, this is not what Allah is putting you through. No. Rida doesn't mean you don't try to find a solution. No. Rida it's an internal station, satisfaction inside, that I know that this is for my good. Although I didn't understand it yet, although I didn't grasp what's behind it, but for sure, I'm pleased with what you have sent to me. And this is what the Prophet ﷺ in the hadith is saying. ذاق طعم الإيمان. He will taste the sweetness of Iman. من رضي بالله ربه. Whoever accepted Allah and pleased with Allah as his Lord. He's our Lord, so we are pleased with that. من رضي بالله ربه. Whoever accepts Allah and is pleased with Allah as his Lord. وبمحمد وبالإسلام دينا, and Islam as the way of life. وبمحمد صلى الله عليه وسلم نبيا ورسولا, and accept Muhammad صلى الله عليه وسلم as a prophet and a messenger of Allah Azza wa Jal. If we were to do this, all these three things together, all talks about radiya, rida. So if we were to be pleased with these three things, Allah number one, subhanahu wa ta'ala, Islam number two, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam number three, then we will taste the sweetness of Iman. If we are tasting bitterness now, then yet to achieve the sweetness, we need to have rida first, and then you start tasting the sweetness. With the bitterness will be transformed to sweetness, and hardships will be transformed to ease, and anger will be transformed to happiness. I know some of us might say, what are you talking about? This is not reality. I know. And this is why he's giving the advice to his brother to lift him from where he is in the status of normal day-to-day stuff to a special rank, a special level where he can be closer to Allah Azza wa Jal. Not on the margins. He can be in high ranks, inshallah. And because Al-Muhasibi rahimahullah, he is an expert, he said, فَإِنْ ضَعُفْتَ عَنِ الرِّضَى, if you cannot achieve full acceptance, or you are not well pleased with everything you have received from Allah Azza wa Jal. So if you are not pleased with everything you receive from His judgment or His commands, فَلَا تَضْعُفَنَّ عَنِ الصَّبْرِ. So you received it, but you didn't get the satisfaction or the acceptance in your heart yet. He's saying if you are in that position, you didn't improve yourself to get 100% satisfaction in your heart for everything you have received from Allah. He says, don't be weak not to practice sabr. So this is option number 2. Option and the higher rank is to have rida for everything you receive from Allah Azza wa Jal. This is option number 1, the higher level. And because not all people can be there easily, he's saying don't be weak not to practice sabr. So if you can't practice rida in everything, at least the minimum, bare minimum, you have to practice sabr. And sabr is about not to complain, not to go and publicize your pain, not to share it and talk about it. Don't do that. This is sabr. فَلَا تَضْعُفَنَّ عَنِ الصَّبْرِ. So sabr, if you want, is about self-control. So you control what you say, you control what you do, you control what you think. And don't misunderstand what sabr means, i.e. you control your emotions, but it doesn't mean you don't express your emotions. You can express your emotions, but within the limits. We've seen the Prophet ﷺ when his Ibrahim, his son Ibrahim passed away. He has emotions ﷺ, and the companions looked at the Prophet ﷺ whilst they were burying Ibrahim, and they have seen the tears on his face and said, even you, Ya Rasulullah? So you cry like us and you do like us? He said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, إِنَّ الْعَيْنَ لَتَحْزَنُ إِنَّ الْقَلْبَ لَيَحْزَنُ وَإِنَّ الْعَيْنَ لَتَدْمَعُ. So the heart is sad and the eye is weeping, but we don't say anything but what pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is sabr. So he's expressing his feeling alayhi salam by weeping, but not shouting and screaming and moaning and complaining and no. So yes, he is expressing his feeling alayhi salam, but he's acting with sabr, and he accepted this in rida, complete rida in his heart. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And among the pillars of Iman, by the way, when we talk about articles of Iman, the 6 articles of Iman, أن تؤمن بالقدر خيره وشره, to believe in qadar, destiny, the good of it and the bad of it. And this is part of rida, if you want. Iman is part of rida here. So you believe in qadar. What does it mean? Yes, theoretically I believe in qadar, but when we've been hit by the qadar of Allah Azza wa Jal, we started going bonkers. and crazy. Where is this article of Iman in your practice? Show me, where is it? And تؤمن بالقدر, it doesn't mean you just believe theoretically. When it hits, you have to practically believe in action, not in theory, in action. So belief here is about rida. We practice rida. And whoever, as in the hadith, Prophet ﷺ, whoever was afflicted by something, and he said, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. We belong to Allah, and to Allah we will return. Illa abdalahu Allahu khayran minhu. So, and he as well followed this by saying, Allahumma ajurni fi musibati. Oh Allah, reward me in my calamity. Wakhluf li khayran minha. And replace me something better than that. Then Allah will replace him something better. So, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, number one, when you've been hit by calamity or test or hardship. The second thing you say, Allahumma ajurni fi musibati wa akhluf li khayran minha. And we've written a blog on this. You can read it, inshallah, on our website, blog site, on our website, the Outreach website. So, rida is important. I know many of you are nodding their heads and saying what he's saying, it doesn't make any sense. It's so difficult. Yes, I know it is so difficult. It won't happen overnight. It needs training. And people are into different levels on that. So some people will find it very easy to practice, and it will take less time than others. Some people will find it harder, and some people, depends where we are on our journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and our closeness to Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then he said, rahimahullah, فإن له الرضا بحال عبده ما دام العبد راضيا بحكمه. If you want Allah's rida, if you want Allah to be pleased with you, what do? This is what he is talking about here. It is interlinked with your rida. So the moment we accept Allah's destiny, then we get Allah's rida. You see how it goes? I'll repeat. فإن له الرضا بحال عبده ما دام العبد راضيا بحكمه. So the more we accept Allah's judgment and Allah's destiny, the more we get Allah's rida. This is the formula, if you want. The angels will come and report to Allah back, subhanahu wa ta'ala. When he's afflicted, when the servant is afflicted by something, one of these calamities, Allah has afflicted or tested the servant with this or that tough test. The angels are recalling what's happening. They'll go and report back to Allah, and He knows, of course, what's happening before their report. But this is their job. And Allah will ask them, what did He say? The first thing, I have tested him with this. They will say, for instance, حمد واسترجع الحمد لله إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. Then Allah will replace him a huge reward for that. Beyond our expectation. But if he has done something else, what was his reaction? Allah will ask the angels, and He knows without their report as well. They will say, he was complaining, he was this, he was that, and then Allah will be displeased with him. So in the first scenario, Allah will be pleased with that person. who did not object to Allah's destiny. And Allah will be displeased with the second scenario. The one who was complaining and objecting and refusing, and even sometimes people do deny Allah and even reject Allah totally from their life. In calamity, it happened. And it's a test of quality. Allah Azza wa Jal is testing our quality. How He's going to react. He doesn't need to test us to know the quality or our quality. But this very test is for us to see ourselves, to see where are our gaps, and how do we work under pressure, and where is the weakest point in our Iman, and where is the strongest point in our Iman. Without calamity and test, we won't be able to see this. It is revealing, self-revealing. It exposes us to ourselves and to those who are around us. You will be, I'm pretty sure you came across this many times, as myself. You will be surprised sometimes under pressure how many people will break, and how many people you thought they were very weak and they were very, very strong beyond your imagination. And in your mind, it was, if somebody was to be broken easily, will be X, Y, and Z. But after the calamity and the test, it was completely the opposite. X, Y, and Z, they were the strongest in the group, and they were carrying the whole group with them. Wow. I remember we were in one of the trips to Hajj. Alhamdulillah, I've been blessed that I've done, alhamdulillah, many trips to Hajj. May Allah Azza wa Jal lift this calamity and enable people to go to Hajj and Umrah again safely, inshallah. So one of these trips, we had on our group one couple. The wife she has a chronic disease and she's on the wheelchair and she has a ventilator and her health is very deteriorating. Although she's not old, she's in her probably 40s something, or even younger, or probably something like that. But anyway, sisters can't go beyond 30 something, but probably this was the exception. So, and her husband, he's a military guy, bodybuilding and strong muscles and what have you. And he said, I was training before Hajj 2-3 months doing marathons and doing running and doing this and that because I want to be strong enough to do the Hajj rituals and to help my wife and support her. This is what he was telling me. SubhanAllah. They arrived to Hajj, we arrived to Mecca, and he has fallen ill. And his wife was serving him for probably, I don't know how many days, forgot now, a long time ago. But he made this confession to me. He said, Sheikh, deep down in my heart, I was fully convinced that I will carry my wife and do the stuff and the hard things and I will give her comfort. So he didn't say this to me, but I can explain what he's saying in a different way. He was overwhelmed by his preparation. He was overwhelmed by his power, his body, his muscles, his preparation and, you know, all these kind of things. His military expertise, you name it. SubhanAllah. He's been attacked from the safest point, his preparation. From his preparation, he's been attacked, that he couldn't do anything. He was so fragile. He was so weak. His wife on the wheelchair, she left her wheelchair. She's not fully on the wheelchair, but because she's tired all the time, so she has to sit on the wheelchair. So she can walk. She left the wheelchair. She put him on the wheelchair, believe it or not. And he was about to cry when he was telling me this. And we've seen him all the trip. Alhamdulillah, he recovered in the middle of the trip, and he was back on his feet and serving his wife. But half of the trip, his wife was serving him. And subhanAllah, I cannot forget this. It's just very common story we have, that we are overwhelmed by our preparation. And this is exactly what happened now in the coronavirus, the COVID-19. The whole world is so overwhelmed by his power, his control, his mastering the sciences and the nuclear power and the space and the satellites, you name it, and rockets and fighter jets and submarines, countless stuff. Yes? Who can defeat us? We can defeat anyone. We are the strongest. Yes? And Allah has sent an enemy which you cannot defeat. You can't see in the first place, and you've been defeated by that very enemy. Shoot it with your nuclear rockets. Shoot it. Call upon your fighter jets, your technology, your sciences. Call upon it. Kill this virus. Imprison this virus. Don't allow it to spread. Contain this virus. In Arabic, we say, "Min ma'manihi yu'tal hadir." From the safest point, the cautious person will be attacked. And subhanAllah, this is what happened. If there's a message here, of course there is. It's about, don't be overwhelmed by your preparation, by your power. Don't ever do this, because this is your killer. So if you want Allah's rida, you have to accept His destiny. This is the core of this. Accept His destiny. But again, don't misunderstand this. Accepting Allah's destiny, it doesn't mean you do sit down, do nothing. No. You go and search for the vaccine, you do your researches, be it a different scenario, you protect yourself, protect your family. It doesn't mean acceptance, doing nothing, and negative understanding. No, it's a positive understanding. Acceptance, it means you believe that this is for the good. Allah has sent this, although I can't understand now why and what's the wisdom behind it, but for sure, Allah's wisdom is beyond our comprehension, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So accept His destiny, then you get His rida, subhanahu wa ta'ala. وله الرضا بصبر عبده على أمره وحكمه ما دام العبد صابرا على ذلك فله فيهما الرضا جميعا. So as well, when you practice sabr, you practice it when you receive His command. For instance, you practice sabr when you are doing your salah in difficult times, when you do your siyam in difficult times, long hours, and so on. You practice this and you have sabr. You are practicing sabr because this is coming from Allah Azza wa Jal, so I'm practicing sabr. I feel difficulty, but I'm practicing sabr. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be pleased with you. And then it's a long, still very long. I thought that I would be able to finish the whole letter today, but it doesn't seem the case. But anyway, and then he said, I'll finish with this, inshallah. وأما عملك فالوفاء بعهده والشكر على نعمه. So your action. So he talks about two things. Number one is rida. Rida, which is an internal status. You can't see this rida. Allah knows about it and you feel it. But what about the action? The action, he said, you have to fulfill your promises to Allah Azza wa Jal. وَأَنَا عَلَىٰ عَهْدِكَ وَوَعْدِكَ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُ, as we say this in the supplication, the Sayyid al-Istighfar supplication, the Master of Istighfar. Again, we have a blog on this, you can read, inshallah ta'ala. وَأَنَا عَلَىٰ عَهْدِكَ وَوَعْدِكَ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُ, as much as I can to fulfill your covenant. The covenant to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to do the obligations, to refrain from prohibitions. This is the promise. So this is from the action point of view. You fulfill your promise to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your ahd, your covenant between you and Him. And the second thing, so these two things, fulfilling your promise, and this is very comprehensive. It encompasses everything. The second thing, الشكر على النعم. You be grateful for the favors which Allah has bestowed upon you. And the favors which we have beyond our comprehension. Inward and outward. Favors which we really recognize easily. Favors which we have no idea it's in existence. No idea, but it is in existence. So to be grateful, because in the midst of the calamity, in the midst of the test, in the midst of the bitterness and destiny itself, you forget to recognize the favors of Allah. You forget to be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You just act as somebody who's engulfed with this calamity and can't see anything beyond it. In other words, although there's a calamity, there is a test, but we are still, alhamdulillah, having and enjoying hundreds and thousands of favors of Allah Azza wa Jal. Many favors we have, Allah has bestowed upon us. The favor of sight, the favor of hearing, the favor of breathing, the favor of walking, talking, the favor of moving, the favor of the sun, the oxygen, the light, you name it. Many favors. We thank Allah for many favors. For the family, for the children, for the well-being, for many things. Countless favors. So don't let the test make you forget the rest of the favors of Allah. Don't make the test blind you from being grateful and thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'll finish with this and open the floor, inshallah, for your questions. So we read around 1/4 of the letter. It's still a very long one, but it's very beautiful letter and piece of advice to his friend. To summarize, if you want, conclude what he is saying, rahimahullah, how to rectify the relationship between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's saying number one is to put what pleases Allah first. Give it preference over what pleases you. Number two, when you do something, do it full-heartedly, wholeheartedly. Don't do it like lip service. And because we cannot, as humans, we cannot be outside time and space. So we have limited time and we have a special space. We move in that time and space. So utilize what you have been given from the time, because we are limited in our time on this earth, and we are limited in the gift of the soul. Allah will not give us another soul to use. We have one soul and we have one chance to live in this dunya. So utilize your time and don't miss the opportunity. And then he talks about how to develop and establish rida, acceptance, to accept what you receive from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And be sure, whatever you send to Allah from actions or words, that it is pleasing Allah Azza wa Jal. And in order to do that, it has to be in accordance with what He has sent to us through His Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and it has to be in line with the guidance of the Prophet Alaihi Salatu Wasallam. And make sure you don't act impatiently. So if you don't have full rida, acceptance, at least you should have sabr. And the sabr, it has different ways to implement, depends what you are doing. So the more you have rida and sabr, the more you get rida from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he finished with fulfilling your covenant with Allah Azza wa Jal, and be grateful for the favors and the ni'am which Allah has bestowed upon all of us subhanahu wa ta'ala.